All right.
All right, all right. Welcome to another beautiful day right here on the Lady Tracy Show. And of course, we have indeed a very special lady. She is an author, and she is indeed from Canada. She is from the beautiful country of Canada, and she is here today to share. Her name is Chelse Com. Chelse is a writer, creative arts, and digital media artist. She's skilled administrative professional and a podcaster. Chelsea's here. She's also the author of multiple children books, children inspirational. She's the author of the Bridal Collection, Knowing God, How to Hear God's Voice, New Life in Jesus, Loving Israel, and so forth. Chelse is indeed, she has her own 31 days devotional, and the list goes on. But let us hear for ourselves the Lady Chelse Com over there in Canada. We welcome you, Lady Chelse. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. I'm really doing well. Thank you, Lady Tracy, for inviting me onto the Unity Live Radio. Thank you for the yeah.
Yes, it is a pleasure to have you. And first, I want to thank you, Chelse, for the privilege to get you on with us. I am excited at the same time, and I am anxious to hear a little bit. But tell us a little bit about who Chelse Com is.
Well, I have a thought about like how many writers can actually design and do photography multi-talented at the same time, you know? It's very rare. And then also have a passion to help others and love to make teaching fun. Well, as Lady Tracy mentioned, am an author of How to Hear God's Voice. I've actually written over 60 books, mostly for children. I do have books for adults. Podcaster, creative arts, and digital media artist, and skilled administrative professional, as she mentioned. But I also think that work should be fun, which is one of the reasons why I thought, oh, it's a good idea to write for children and teach them about faith. Especially, I grew up in the church, so I really have a passion for God. I live in Toronto, grew up in Windsor, and small cities are still nice to live in. I've served in the local church in a variety of roles, such as audio-visual photography, worship, and ministry. Currently, I'm actually involved in worship. I like to dance and sing, and I'm passionate for families to be united. People often ask me for advice. And growing up, I also enjoyed watching cartoons and movies and playing games and traveling. I also developed a relationship with the Lord. And like Moses, I asked God to show his glory, which is God's desire for everyone. And books consist of teaching children about their faith and life principles from the Bible. This includes Bible feasts, puzzle books, bridal writing, poems, lyrics for songs, words of encouragement, blessings, and prayers. Now, I've also mentioned that I've written stories and jokes. Actually, these are kind of like the starting point when I was beginning. I actually haven't published them yet. I'm still thinking about that. But some titles Lady Tracy has already mentioned. And lately, I have written more since the time that I started. So over 60 books is actually what I have now, because when you look at my author page, you'll notice that it actually does say that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm impressed by the amount of work that you have, Chelse. That's exciting, and I think you are doing a great job directing people to children ministry. It's beautiful, and they don't know the importance really unless you really go in depth of explaining the main importance of it. I thank you for that, and good job, girl. You have been doing this basically all your life, from being in church as a child. I think this is a bonus for you, Chelse. Now, what has been your most impactful expecting release. You have so many of them, but which one can you put your finger on and say, this one has been my most impacting job out of all the children books that I have done?
Well, among friends, they really love the How to Hear God's Voice book and actually puzzle books too. I offered them the print version to buy locally, and then I noticed that when How to Hear God's Voice was published and it was released, it actually had the highest volume of readers. And they are actually great gifts for children to learn the Bible while they are doing, like, even for the puzzle books. Children can learn the Bible while they're doing the puzzles. But the children book about hearing God's voice is very good because actually that was something that I learned when I first came to Toronto. Believe it or not, my my relationship with God was not where it's at. I used to be just going to church and I pray to God like, oh, God is way up there and I'm here, you know. So then I realized when I learned about relationship with God, I said, oh, this is totally a different thing than what I know. And then the other thing is, after I wrote that book, I started producing more books, which is interesting. I started going into other topics and I decided to write a teaching guide actually for this particular book about how to hear God's voice and also a teaching series to accomplish it. And there's also an audiobook and a coaching, like free coaching session. I decided to put that as a whole package thing. Um, yeah, because I want to complete the teaching, you know. It's kind of like there is a minister, you know, that he teaches to the adults, but for me, I thought, you know, it's good for children to actually learn to hear God for themselves too. And it's something that you know, not many people know how to do that actually. And then you know, the Bible puzzles, like yes, there are ones on the internet available, but the thing is that I thought, you know, it's good to add the actual scriptures into it so that people, you know, the children can really learn. um I did create like another 3 for the young kids. In the beginning when I started, I only had 5, and it was actually for the older ones. And when I first started, I was thinking, oh, I'm gonna do this for, like, you know, youth, and I wasn't thinking about the children. But it turned out, I said, whoa, everybody thinks this for children. I said, okay, well, children can do it, then they can have the adult learn with them and do it together, and that's probably even better. So that's actually what happened. It turned out to become like that.
Thank you, Chelsea. And I don't know, but this is just super awesome. It's amazing me every single second. The more we go into this interview, the more I'm being amazed because this is the exact idea of what I would really put on the platform. Because I'm a children author as well, but I've never went into Christian writing. And this is exactly the thing that I believe authors need to get involved with to really share the word in so many different ways. There's so many other things on the internet that is just distracting our kids, and to have stuff like this from a foundational perspective as a child, I think this is perfect, Chelsea. Okay, now let's get to the last release quickly. We don't have much time, but let's see how quick we can cover your last release. Tell us about your last release that you just did.
So recently I released Knowing God, Jesus and the Holy Spirit Children Guide and audiobook. The book is full of examples from the Bible of those who have fellowship with God daily. There are also examples to show how this relationship impacts our lives. Everyone knows David, and people know Proverbs 31 woman, but this also includes exercises where they can practice and they can also pray because there's a prayer at the end of each lesson as well. This teaching series particularly has 18 sessions, and there's also ebooks. Well, I'm actually offering ebooks on my website with the package, and you can get the whole collection This actually, another point to mention, because the whole complete package that I have is also includes books called Knowing God, Knowing Jesus, and Knowing the Holy Spirit. So that's like an additional 3 books on top of the teaching guide to go to complete the whole thing. I similarly did the idea with How to Hear God's Voice, but the difference is that the How to Hear God's Voice actually has fewer books included in it. It's only 12 sessions. So I made a book for the school age children and also for the younger ones so that they can hear God. And that one, like I said, has a teaching guide to go with it on top of that. And there's also another package, which is not for children, but it's actually particularly for adults. So if there's any adults interested in relationship with God, I also have a series for them. And that one is actually 20 lessons.
Good.
Yeah.
Something to do, to think about while the kids are busy, right?
Yes.
I also have one on marriage. It's a marriage series, is it?
Well, it's actually more about your relationship with God than a marriage series. But if you think about it, you're actually being married to God. So this is actually, in a sense, yeah, it's like a marriage series.
Awesome, Chelsea. Thank you so much. Okay, perfect. All right, now I wanted to give our listeners one advice today. Anyone that's listening, it doesn't matter the age group, one advice that you could give to us today based on your books and so forth.
So one advice I recommend is to spend time with building your relationship with God and to get his plan on a daily basis, because he will give you the wisdom, the ideas, and the steps you need to take. Just like the Proverbs 31 woman, in whatever she did, she always had success and people praised her. Like her family, her children, they saw her and they praised her. And even those in the household, she did everything with excellence. She totally relied on God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit all at the same time. And she knew that he will give her the plan for each day so she would prosper. It's very interesting because she's like multi-talented. Like she's a wife, she's a mother, she's a businesswoman and a friend. Though her life is very busy, but she had the strength to do everything. And it's amazing how productive she is and how much skills and experience she has. Like God is so pleased with her, rewarded her with everything that she does, and she's so blessed and abundant in her life. There are others in the Bible that are great examples, but her example is so easily applied to our lives. It's like modern day example for us as women. And then children need to see this model so that they can grow up to become God-fearing individuals and impact others for God's kingdom. So that's what I would advise, especially women. Like, I mean, there is examples for men too, but because I'm a female, then that's why I mentioned that.
Thank you so much, Chelsea. And you're totally right. That's one of my favorite passages, Proverbs 31, the virtuous woman. I think I wrote a poem on her too. You probably will hear it in my show. But that's indeed a good advice. And I think women should pay attention to this because every man loves a Proverbs 31 woman. If you should ask them, oh, what kind of woman would you like? Oh, give me a Proverbs 31 woman, virtuous woman. Even though it's such a complicated step to take, a challenge that is. All right, okay, lastly, Chelsea, where can you go to get your book and what is the cost for the recent release, Knowing God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit, children's Bible?
Well, they are currently available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and Kobo. Like it depends on which books you're particularly like, especially How to Hear God's Voice and Knowing God. Those ones are actually on Amazon. I have a central author page, as I mentioned, on Amazon with all the books listed there, like a majority of them. And I did a search before on notice that other books online companies, they have paid to have a copy of my books to be sold in their stores, even though I'm not familiar with them. But if you do like a Google search, you'll actually find that if you know the title. I recently was granted opportunity to sell on Christian Momentum. Actually, they're not launched yet, but they were saying that for the pre-launch, they're going to let me set up an online store, and that's when I can put whatever books I have printed on there for sale. I do have some, but not like too many choices. It's mostly my original books. So I have a limited number of those for now until I finally get more copies printed. But you can, I do appreciate everyone who, listening and all those who enjoy the books in the series. Hope that you would leave a review on whatever platform that you're reading, and that you would be able to have a good impact on your children when you read those books, because it encourages me also to keep on producing as well.
Wow, I will give my review for sure. That's no doubt. Thank you so much, Chelsea. It was a blessing having you with us on the Lady Tracy Show. So there you have it, my people, the Lady Chelsea Kong over there in Canada. And she was here today to share her beautiful work, loads of them with us, and of course, the inspiration behind her recent release. Thank you, Chelsea. We do hope to hear from you in the future. And also, we're looking forward to have some more of your work on our show in the coming future. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Awesome.
So are those